Okay, I'm going to illustrate to you how to type and then save and compile, debug, and submit our first programming assignment. I'm going to be using the VI editor on the CS machine, but it's just like the student machine, so VI on student will do the same thing that my editor is going to do now. I'm going to skip those comments at the top, but don't you skip the comments at the top. I really want to see your name up there. Alright, so I'm going to now start VI. It's just VI and the name of the file that I want to create. My file name needs to match my class name, so I call it Finite State Machine because that's what the handout says, and it needs to be .java. By the way, I'm not typing the one that you're going to write. I'm typing the sample program just so I can illustrate the process to you. Now when VI starts up, it is in command mode. VI is an old editor, and it does not take mouse input. It does not take any kind of fancy new stuff. So you have to remember which mode you're in order to do things like go to the bottom of the file, go to the end of the line, move your cursor around in the file. Right now, command mode, but if you hit I, you'll go into insert mode. There are actually lots of ways to enter insert mode, and I'll talk about a few of those later. But you can see right now at the bottom of the screen it says insert, which helps you remember which mode you're in. Alright, so I'm not going to do the comments. I'm just going to start at the top. If you get tired of watching me type, then fast forward. Notice that I'm getting some help with formatting of my file because VI is smart. This is actually probably one of the later versions of VI, like Vim, which is an improved VI, but it's doing indentions for me, which is kind of nice. And it knows how to do that because I named my file .java. We're coming up on the most important part of the file for you, which is making your state table. It's the only part I didn't give you. That and just a couple changes on other lines, like what's the number of your accept state and so forth. But this part right here is critical that you get right, and it's also nice if you format it in such a way that it becomes easier to read. Putting spaces between things and so forth is very helpful. Notice that each row of your table is set off with curly braces, and within a row you separate the elements in the various columns with commas. It's a comma delimited list, each row. Hopefully I'll make a few mistakes as we go along, even if I'm not trying, so that we can debug a little bit. It's kind of nice to put some comments around these rows where you put the row number so that you know what state you are typing at any one time, and the way this one is done on this sample, that is not there. You don't see row numbers. You know, the top row is 0 and so forth. It'd be nice if that was there, so if you want to add some comments to yours, I think that would help you. Now if I make mistakes in this table that are not syntactic but are actually errors in where you go on a given letter, then that's going to be pretty tough for me to debug, so I'm going to try to get this right. Notice there's no comma right here at this point because this is the very last row, and commas are separators. Also notice there is a semicolon right there. It's the end of a definition, and so you really need that semicolon. Now we just have our data members. Constructor. This constructor sets up our reading. Notice that I am getting some help here with color highlighting. You may not get that when you start up VI. If you don't and you want it, then let me know and I will send you my VI initialization file, which will give you the same stuff that you're seeing here for me. That's our character variable that we will read the letters of strings with, one character at a time. This syntax gives me an infinite loop. I see a mistake I just made, but I'm going to leave it there so that we can get some practice debugging. By the way, when this read method that I'm using here, it returns an int as its value, and I need to be reading into a character variable. So because I declared ch as a character, so that's why I'm casting this thing into a character. It does that int thing because the end of file character is actually -1. Which is not a character. So you have to read that as an integer. I mean, it's not an ASCII value, which is what you need for characters. The char data type is not signed. Okay, so I just finished typing the program. Now I need to leave insert mode and switch to command mode. You always do that with an escape. So just hit the escape key and you notice that it no longer says insert at the bottom of your file. Now let me just show you a few things about VI. The arrow keys go up, down, left, and right, but you can also use the H, J, K, and L keys to go up, down, left, and right. So right now I'm hitting K to go up, J goes down, L goes right, and H goes left. If you're a fast typist and you don't like to take your hands off the home keys and put them over on the arrows, those keys are great. I use those all the time. You can go to the different lines of your file with a capital G. If you just hold down the shift key and hit G in command mode, then you go to the bottom of the file. If you want to go somewhere else in the file, you put a number before G. So if you want to go to line number 1, you type 1, capital G. If you want to go to line 15, you type 15, capital G. That's kind of handy when you are debugging and you know that there's an error on a certain line. You can go into also look at what VI is doing for me with the braces. If you put your cursor on a brace, it lights up the partner brace, so you can easily spot brace problems as you're running through your file. I like that. You can go into insert mode in different ways. If I type the I key right now, notice the word insert show up, and notice that I'm going to type some M's here. Notice that those M's go to the left of my cursor. Now I'm going to hit escape. Now watch this. If I hit U, I undo the last thing I did. So U gets rid of all those M's. Now here's another way to go into insert mode. With my cursor in the same place as it was before on that P, if I type A, then that puts me into insert mode, but A for append rather than I for insert. So if I hit A and then I start typing M's, look where those M's are going. Now I'll hit escape and then U. I can go into insert mode and put my cursor on the line, on a new line that opens up below the line I'm currently on with a lowercase o. So if I hit O right now, lowercase o, watch what happens. It opened up a new line. It's doing the nice indentation thing because it's a Java file. And I am in insert mode, so anything I type right now actually becomes part of the file. I'll hit escape, and then I'll hit U. And that gets undone. If I do a capital O, let me move my cursor to this line and do a capital O. Anywhere on this line, if I do a capital O, it puts me into insert mode and opens up a new line of text above the line that I was on when I hit the capital O. So that's kind of handy sometimes too. Okay, so let's hit escape, hit U to undo that, and now I need to save my file. I'm in command mode. Notice there's no word insert there. I need to hit a colon, which is a shift semicolon. That puts my cursor at the bottom of the line where you type commands that are more than one character long. And I need to write the file out to save it, so that's a W. And then I want to quit, so that's a Q. I could just write and stay in the editor. If I say colon W and hit enter, then it just saves my file, but leaves me in the editor. If I put colon WQ, then it saves the file and it takes me back out of the editor to the operating system level. And now I'm going to try compiling my file. So I type Java C, and Linux does tab extensions, and so if I hit tab right now, it will finish using the list of file names in my current directory, finish as much of that file name as it can, but at that point it doesn't know what to type next. If I hit a dot and then hit tab again, it still doesn't know what to do because there's more than one file by that name. If I hit J and then tab, now that's enough of a hint to tell it how to finish that file name. And so now I'll just hit enter, And look, it found an error right there on line 34. It says it was expecting a parenthesis, and so it was. I saw that error when I typed it. I thought it might give us a little bit more confusing error message, but it didn't. So now back into VI, and here's another thing you can do. Up arrow and down arrow scroll through your history of commands that you've typed. So if I hit up arrow right now, that's the most recent command I typed. That's not the one I want. I want to go back into VI. If I hit up arrow again, then there's my handy dandy VI command. So I'll hit enter and I'm back in the file. Now I want to go to line 34, so I type 34 capital G. And I'm on the right line and I see right where I need to be, so I'll put my cursor right there, go into insert mode with an I, type my parentheses, and hit escape to go back to command mode, and then hit colon WQ. Let's try my Java compile again. I'll use my up arrow to go back a couple of commands. And this time it compiled. And if I do a listing of the files in my directory, you'll see that I have finite state machine.java and I have finite state machine.class. Now I also had another finite state machine.doc, which is a Word file that I must have just stuck here one day by mistake. I also have another program in there, finite state machine2.java. I don't know what that was. But I'm ready now to run my program. So let's try. I'll say Java and then I'll type capital F and hit tab and see what happens. There it is, finite state machine, and that's the very one I want, so I will hit enter. And I'm into this program that says it's in its infinite loop. It has told me to enter a string. Now if this program is really doing what it's supposed to be doing according to the comments, if I type BBBA, it ought to say yes. And so it does. If I type BABBA, it ought to say yes. Good. How about AABB? Good. How about the empty string? Good, it rejected that one. You just hit enter for that and don't type any letters. How about AABBC? Good, it rejected that one. It went to state 11, hopefully there at the end, and state 11 is not the accept state, so it rejected. Let's make a string that has A's and B's but is not any, doesn't contain any of those. How about one that alternates letters? Good. How about all B's? Reject. Good. So this program appears to work. After a little bit more testing, I would be satisfied that it was working. Now when I'm ready to quit, I have to kill it with the Control C. So that's what I just did. And I'm back at the operating system level. And now to submit my program, I need to type submit DAP prog1 and the name of my file, finite state machine.java. And I was playing around the other day and I submitted something just to see if submit was working, so it tells me that this was my second submission. You can submit as many times as you want to, and I will only grade the last one that you submit. So if you realize that you made a mistake and want to fix it, that's no problem. Just submit it again. Now let me go back in and mess with this file just to, you can quit now if you want to. If you're rusty on your Java, let's make some mistakes. Let's suppose that I left off this comma right here. And then let's suppose that maybe I left out one of these semicolons. And let's suppose that I missed a double quote right there. And maybe I missed a semicolon down here. And maybe I forgot to put that one right there. Alright, let's see what those things do when I try to compile. I need a Java C, there it is. Okay, so I've got a goodly number of error messages here, and I will grab my scroll bar over here on the right and I will scroll. Whoa, I got a really goodly number of error messages. You can't trust those error messages other than the first few, so let's go back way up here. it says that on line 11 it was expecting a curly brace and found something else, and then it got really confused, so it started seeing errors everywhere. So let's go back in the file to line 11, the very first error message, and fix that. So here we go, hit enter. I can use my history actually. Do this, let's do 11 capital G, and it wasn't the curly brace, but my eyes see what was the problem. It was a comma. So I need to go into insert mode at the end of this line. My cursor right now is that big bright green thing. So if I want to go to the end of the line and put it into insert mode, I can hit capital A, and that will open me up a space right after the last character on the line and put me into insert mode where I can type that comma, and then hit escape and do a :WQ. Go back out, compile again. Oh, much better. It really got confused with that missing comma, didn't it? So now it says there's an error on line 32, and you can see right there what it is. It's only one semicolon in the 4 parentheses, so it's doing quite well at identifying our errors. So let's open up the file again, go to line 32, put that semicolon back, go into insert mode with an I, hit your semicolon, go into command mode with escape, :WQ, up arrow, back to the compile command. And now on line 43, you see we have, oh, it is confused about that backslash. You see where the little caret is underneath the backslash? There's nothing wrong with that backslash. That just says after you print out the word except, go to the next line, and it's actually going to make it's going to create a blank line in there because I'm using print line, which is going to put it on line by itself. Sorry, my phone rang and now I forget where I was. Oh yeah, I was telling you, there's no problem with this backslash. The problem is the missing double quote. Double quotes are notoriously difficult errors for compilers to deal with and give you specific reasons for them being confused at some point. But what happened was we didn't get too far past where the error actually occurred. The error was right here, and it hit this character and realized that something was up. So it's doing the best it can. So now let's go to line 43. We need to do our up arrow till we get back to our VI command, and then we have 43 capital G. And where's my cursor? My cursor is on the system. Oh, here's a kind of handy thing that VI does. You can go to the right with the arrow. You can also go to the right with L, but you can go to the right in bigger chunks with W. It goes a word at a time. And so you see how it's skipping over there, and that's often kind of convenient. Do W for word. And B goes back, by the way. B goes back a word. So W to go forward and B to go back. Right here you can put it into insert mode and hit your double quote and then hit escape. Let's save out of there again and compile one more time. Alright, so now we have an error on line 71, and that's lovely. It told us exactly where that error was since our last one. So one more time, line 71, capital G. Capital A will put us into insert mode at the end of the line. Hit semicolon, escape, :WQ, and one more, compile. Excuse me. Oops, more than that. What is it telling me? Exit int. It says that the method called exit, which receives an integer parameter, cannot be applied to an empty set of parentheses. So it doesn't know what to do right there. Remember, we took that one out. I forgot about us doing that. So let's go one more time. 71. And the way the exit works, by the way, is this. You can put exits all over your program, any place where you want to kill the program, and you can give each of those exits a different number, and you can actually query the operating system for those numbers and identify where your program died. So it's kind of convenient to have a choice of numbers. We only have one exit, so I'll just put the number 1 right there. But you do need some number, even if there's only one. Alright, so now one more time. This ought to be good and give us no errors. And there we go. Alright, hope that was helpful. Bye-bye.